Good morning, everyone. It is March 18th from sunny Central Florida. This will be my second video of the 2012 planting season. And I'm giving you a shot of my loquat tree because this year it is just absolutely loaded with loquats. For those of you who don't know what a loquat is, it's just one of those fruits that has its own taste. It's really mild. I would say the closest thing I could think that it might come to is like a kiwi, but even milder. But it is loaded. The birds love it. Last year I made loquat jam for the first time and it was very good. I just need to really get motivated to make some this year before they're all gone. But it is, and I can't shoot under the tree, but when these things fall off, they decay away and they start new loquat trees. So I have probably 100 little loquat trees under this tree. So if anyone living near wants a loquat tree, just let me know and I have plenty. I'll give you a shot of the garden, the vegetable garden from the house. I'm standing on the deck, so it's a ways away. So I have a little hike, and I usually make this hike 10 times a day, so it helps me get my exercise. But I'm going to stop the video and go down to the garden and we're going to see what's growing. Okay, so here we are going down to the garden. And the sun's in my eyes this morning, so I hope it's not going to put a glare on the camera because I really wanted you to see my fig tree, because the last video I shot, it had no leaves, and you always know spring is here when the fig tree comes out. But it's beautiful, and pretty soon we should be getting a lot of figs and I'll be making fig preserves. Okay, I just started my little flower bed here. Nothing's come up yet. I planted a bunch of seeds, but this first bed here was planted all from seed. It's looking wonderful. I have some nasturtiums right there in the front because nasturtium flowers are edible. They're real peppery tasting and they make a salad really pretty. I have some kale and some Swiss chard. And on the back over here is my sugar snap peas, which are blooming and going up the trellis, so we should have some pretty soon. My grandson's carrots, which he has planted ever since he was a little guy with Gigi in the garden. He loves planting his carrots and pulling them up and eating them. And here I have some spinach. And I'll span around to the next bed, which is broccoli, which is doing very well. And collard greens, which we are already starting to harvest. We should probably have the broccoli in about 4 weeks. In the corner here I have some thyme and oregano. And there's another nasturtium. And in these two bins last year I had planted some asparagus. They didn't do as well as I liked, so I pulled them up, and I had some extra tomatoes. So I filled it up with soil and put tomatoes in it. I'm always moving stuff around. Green beans that I planted probably a week and a half ago, and we had this wonderful rain 2 days ago. And then the next day the sun was shining all day, so they just popped right out and they're growing. So we'll have some green beans soon. My last video I told you about how my beds are starting to decay because they are like 10 years old. Well, I came across these blue bottles and I just love them. So I've decided I'm going to collect blue bottles and line my beds. It could take me a while, but that's okay because unless they get broke, they'll last for a long time. Okay, in this bed I have some radishes along the edge. A new vegetable that I'm growing this year is, if you can see the stems of it, you'll know what it is. It is celery. And I didn't grow it from seed. I found them at Walmart, but I also found out that when you get a stalk of celery, if you cut the bottom of it off, place 2 picks all around it and set it into water like you would an avocado seed, it actually roots and you can grow a new celery plant. Isn't that amazing? So that's what I'm doing to that one. I have some eggplant here, 2 eggplants. My scallion bulbs are coming up. I do have some garlic back there, but it hasn't come up yet. And I have more spinach because I love spinach salads. And I don't know if you can see way in the back here. Let me see if I can zoom. I have some pickling cucumbers that are coming up after that rain. So this bed's doing well. And one of the new things that I found this year was potato bags. I had seen them before in my seed catalogs, but they were like $19.99, and it was something I wasn't going to pay $19.99 for. But lo and behold, I was at Walmart one day and there were potato bags. They were $9.99, so I said, oh, what the heck, I'll try them. So they're made out of a really durable, it's almost like a tarp material, and they're circular. And the concept is you fill the soil up about halfway, then you get your seed potatoes and cut them and lay them in there, and as they start popping up, you keep mounding soil up until you get to the top. Then you just let them keep growing. And I think I've told you before in one of my other videos, once the green turns yellow and dies back, then you know it's time to harvest your potatoes. And what's so cool about this is, because it being a potato bag, they put this little flap here so that when it's time to get your potatoes, you can actually see the roots of the potatoes growing down there. But you just lift this up and you can dig your hand in and pull out your potatoes. So it's a cool design, and I thought it was worth 10 bucks, so I bought 2 of them. So I'll let you know how it works. When it's time, I'll try to do a video of the harvest. There's Gigi. She is growing hair, which actually is chives. Her dress is looking a little ragged. I think it's time to change. And here is our bean TB that my grandsons and I did last year. And I went ahead and planted the beans, and they just think it's so fun when it's full to go in, and they can get the beans that are on the inside, and I picked the ones that are on the outside. So we did that again this year. Over here I have my cucumber bed. I did bush cucumbers, and then in the back I did the pickling cucumbers again because I had a little space there. This is my not so pretty compost pile, but this is one of the ways I compost several different ways, and this is one of them, by putting all of my vegetable scraps in here, and then I turn, and you can already see how rich that soil gets when it hits all them scraps and leaves and water. And so in about a couple weeks I'll be able to take scoopfuls out and put it around my plants, and they really like it. And here's my plum tree that I bought last year that didn't give me any plums, but this year it's budding out and it looks like it's covered in bloom. So crossing my finger I'll get some plums. Not so lucky on my peach tree that I planted last year. Even though it did give me peaches, it had blooms on it when I bought it. This year it was covered in blooms in February, and usually in February we always have a freeze, and it froze, and I have one little peach. Poor guy, all by himself. Well, there's always next year, and you know, that's the thing about gardening. You can't predict the weather, so you just have to roll with the punches. And leeks. I'd never grown leeks before, but I tried to do it this year. They look really good, and I have a little basil plat. And here's this is the way I normally would do my potatoes, in the potato box here, which is fairly deep. And then you put your seeds in there again and mound it up, and they're nice and healthy and pretty. And I try to time them they take a little bit more time than the green beans, so I try to time them with the green beans so that we can have beans and potatoes. And over here we have our tomato and pepper bed. I had done some research this year before I planted and found out that pepper and tomatoes are good companion plants, so they like to be planted together. So I decided to try it and plant them. If you also notice, I have marigolds around. That's an old hand-me-down garden tip from my grandma. And I think a lot of old-timer farmers still do it for their vegetable gardens. They say that the bugs don't like the smell or the taste of the marigolds. So if you plant them around your flowers, they'll stay away. So we'll see. And this bed is my zucchini and squash bed. And looks like the zucchini actually has some little blooms on them, so it shouldn't be too long. But I think the one thing that I'm excited about is my grandson and I decided this year to do something different. Last year we went and got composting worms, which is red wiggler worms, the fishing worms. It has to be the red wigglers because they're the composting ones. And we put it in the compost pile, and whoops, sorry, I almost dropped the camera. It it worked for a while. We could see the worms, and then all of a sudden they were gone, so I guess they just kind of wiggled away. Well, this system I found online, and it's for if you have a raised bed, because a raised bed is self-contained. So the concept is you take this, I think this is like 3-inch PVC pipe. You could use larger, I'm sure. And it's 4 foot. And you take the 2 feet that's in the bottom, and I have to dig it out to show you because this is really important part. You drill holes all around the bottom that's in the ground, and you don't drill anything here. Then you dig it and you put it in the ground 2 feet, and then you fill it with, I took just some shredded newspaper and a couple scoops of my compost from my compost pile and some kitchen scraps. I don't know if you can even see the kitchen scraps are in there. It's like lettuce and cucumber scraps and things like that, just a handful. Well, then you drop your worms in there. We got these little containers at Ace, these things right here, and actually it was perfect because it fits right in there. They were like $2.99. There's like, I don't know, 25 or 30 worms in there. So we put one in each one, and we dropped them in there. My grandson had a blast putting them in there. He was just laughing. He loves playing with worms. And the concept is that the worms go down to the bottom. They eat the composting scraps, and then at night they go out, or night or day, I'm not really sure. I can't remember what I read, but they go out within the bed, and they distribute their castings, and then at night they come back in and they eat, and they come through those holes. So that's the whole purpose of the holes, because the compost, all your kitchen scraps are down in the PVC pipe. So it sounds like a good idea, and if we can start digging and we see little baby worms all in our bed, that will be a good thing, because that means that your soil is nice and healthy. So we will definitely keep you updated on that and let you know if it works or not. But this is a span of the garden. It's doing great. It's a beautiful day. Oh, I hear a bunch of birds in the background. And you know, when it's days like this that I just love gardening, and it gives me joy and peace, and I just feel so much closer to God when I'm in my garden. And it teaches me patience, and it says in the Bible that the Holy Spirit will produce fruits of the Spirit, and they're love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I have always had a problem with patience, so I really do think that that's why God gave me the joy of gardening, because it teaches me patience. You have to work the soil, you have to plant the seed, you have to water it, nurture it, and then you watch it grow, and then it produces into something beautiful. So I'm so blessed that God gave me the love of gardening, and I hope each one of you, if you don't garden, will take it up as a hobby and experience the joy and the peace that it gives you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye for now.